tonight to order. For those of you who are here for various reasons, and we'll get into it later, but we do have a very special meeting here tonight. Ms. Wheeler is joining us. We're going to honor someone who's been here for 16 years. And tonight's his last meeting, so we're going to be going through that and doing all that. But we're going to start our meeting as we normally would after that, or before that. So tonight we'll have an invocation by yours truly, our Pledge of Allegiance tonight, and he wore the shirt to do it, by Mr. Jay Wheeler. And then we will have our vocal octet from the OHS Chorus Department performing our national anthem, our mission statement by Miss Ray Hollenbeck. I'm only mad because she's leaving. And our translation services tonight will be provided by Senora Belinda Reyes. So I would ask everybody to first silence all your cell phones. Let me check and see if I did that to mine. I did. And then please rise. If you'll bow with me. Our gracious and Heavenly Father, we come before you tonight, thankful for all your many blessings, and we ask your guidance and direction to the members of this board, our leadership team at this district. And tonight, we ask that the gentleman, Mr. Wheeler, who you have blessed this community with, that he will live the rest of his life as not a school board member anymore, live the rest of his life in a blessed manner, and that you will continue to bless him and his beautiful family. And I pray that in Christ Jesus' name, amen. So if we do that, Mr. Wheeler.
Please show me your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing, and we'll welcome our vocal octet. I have a list of their names here. It is Brian Adams, Maria Almonte, Camilla, the artist formerly known as Camilla, Gabriel Galindo, Chloe Goldberg, Elijah Mischel, Cyrus Tifa, and Emily Wilson. The floor is yours whenever you're ready.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free, the free, the free, and the home of the
Thank you very much. That was awesome. You may be
guys were
seated.
great. You
Yep,
guys were
you
great.
guys were awesome. Thank you.
Great job.
Yeah.
All right, Ms. Hollenbeck.
Good evening. The mission statement of the Osceola School District is inspiring all learners to reach their highest potential as responsible, productive citizens.
Thank you. Ms. Hollenbeck, thank you for your service. All right, that brings us to Positive comments?
Wait, in translation services.
Sorry. No, I'm sorry.
Translation service.
Ms. Reyes, sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. Trying to keep everything under order. I'm sorry.
I'm here to remind you.
Good afternoon. My name is Belinda Reyes, and I'm here to provide translation services. Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Belinda Reyes y estoy aquí para proveer servicios de traducción.
All right. For the last time, Mr. Wheeler?
Yeah, I've got a few positive things to say. First off, I just want to recognize the students who are just here from Osceola High School. That, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, every board meeting, for the most part, since I've been here, that's been the highlight of the board meetings, having these students come in and perform. At one time, it wasn't just the national anthem. They would do performances from plays or just musical performances, but that is something that every school district should do if they don't, because that reminds us why we're here. We're here because of kids. That's our primary function. With that, yeah, I want to recognize a few people. First off, I'm going to be coming back to say goodbye to some people, but there's somebody retired here, Dr. John Bell here, and I've got to just recognize you for a second, John. Years ago, years and years and years ago, when you were at Kissimmee Middle School as the principal, you were the person who taught me curriculum mapping. And I just want to let you know I appreciate that, and it stuck with me. It's stuck with me since then, so I do understand that, and if any of you don't know what it is, learn it. And I want to recognize this board. I've served with a lot of people since I've been elected, and some not so good and some better than others. These people that I serve with now are some of the best people I've ever had to work with. I have great affection for them. We've got some unique group experiences, that is for sure. But they're all here for the right reasons, and I've learned a lot from each one of them. I remember vividly one meeting before Dr. Pace was here, where we had an executive session over wages, and Clarence and I were able to go back and forth, do a lot of math in our heads that at that time the staff who was here couldn't keep up with. But I want to thank, when this gets all done, they want to say some things about me, which is very kind. But I want to say, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank a lot of the leaders that have been here, particularly, Mike Grego took us to a place we'd never been, and then some things imploded at the district, and Ms. Luciano came in as superintendent, settled things down, and now Dr. Pace is here, and we were able to attract back a lot of talent that we lost and then some. And I just want to point out to the community, first off, for me, this has been a privilege and an honor to serve the community and help kids, but it's been all about kids. We're elected officials, but you walk into a classroom, you walk into a second grade classroom, there are no Democratic and Republican kids. These are just kids. So keep that in mind for anybody who might be sitting in one of these seats. And also, if a parent has an issue and you go to a school and you're not getting some results within a day, call your board members, call this team. This team can move the ball down the field, and they're here to help you. Everybody, we've got an amazing leadership team here in our schools and here. Parents, you're not bothering us if you call. This is about your sons and daughters or your grandkids. That is our job. So please, please keep calling, and these guys want to help your kids. Everybody wants your kids to be successful. And with that, I'm not going to belabor anything else for now. I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Ruth.
Sure. So I've asked the board, Mr. Wheeler, to kind of reserve their thoughts on you for just a moment as we go through our normal process
Sure.
of positive comments, because we do have a special something for you. Mr. Soto, do you have anything? Not pertaining to Mr. Wheeler?
Nothing about Jay right now. That comes later. But we did held our District 2 Top 10 Junior Breakfast, hosted by the school district and by myself and with me included. And I think it went very well. We all enjoyed it. Thank you to the school district for setting that up for the students and for myself. I think it went well.
Very well.
Mr. Thacker? Mr. Weishauer?
I've actually been holding my comments on Mr. Wheeler for a very long time, so I will gladly honor.
You said you were going to sing.
I will gladly honor your request, Chairman. I just wanted to say thank you to our superintendent, Mr. Shatera, and all the staff that came out. I hosted a community update again. I believe it was last week, maybe the week before. I don't remember, but down at Liberty High School again. And, I've hosted these every year or sometimes twice a year since I've been on the school board. It's one of those commitments that I made that I would do that. And this one also was prompted by some constituents in my area saying I'd really like to have an update and want to kind of know what's going on. And so being responsive to that, but yet as always, the superintendent and the staff were willing and able to step up to be present. And you guys know this, those are long days. I start my day at 5 every morning, doesn't matter what day of the week it is, and I know the superintendent isn't probably very different from that, as are a number of our staff, and yet this meeting didn't even start, I think, until 7 p.m. and at Liberty, so you have to deal with the traffic component getting there. And they were there, they stayed to the end. Dana and her team, as always, does an exceptional job of just making sure everyone's prepared and everything's on point. So from where I sit, and I know as we sit as school board members, the support that we receive from the exceptional staff of the school district is incredibly valued and appreciated, and I don't want to miss the opportunity to say thank you. Those are long days, and I don't take for granted that you guys take the time to be there to support the work of the board and what we're trying to do to make sure we engage the community. So thank you to everybody. Dana, I assume you're in the back room, so shout out and thank you to you as well.
Thank you, Mr. Weisstein. Dr. Payson, I know you have a recognition and an introduction.
Yes, Chairman Booth, I have 2 things this evening to share with the board and the community as a positive comment. First of all, I'd like to ask Dr. Bell, if he doesn't mind, to please come to the podium. As Jay mentioned, Dr. Bell is a retired district and school leader here in the community. He has remained involved in education, continues to serve as a hearing officer for our expulsion hearings, but just recently with Mrs. Davenport's injury, he was willing to come out of retirement and get up early every morning and make his way to Harmony Community School to serve as the interim principal. And I want to thank him personally and professionally for that work. We have a small token of affection from the board and the district. And just thank you, Dr. Bell.
Yeah, thank you.
I just want to make sure you understand what a pleasure it was to be at such a fine school. The school district has provided opportunity for my family. My wife was a retired teacher. I retired after 36 years. And my son went from kindergarten through high school and graduated from Point Siena. He's now an assistant principal and has worked for 12 years in Lee County. So we've gotten a lot from this district. We wouldn't be where we are now without the district. So I want to thank the district. You really have a very good school system with good teachers, good students, and good leadership. So keep up the good work, everyone.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you,
Bell.
Dr. Bell. I just wanted to say, too, for those of you who don't know, Dr. Bell was a principal of mine back at Ross E. Jeffries Elementary.
You can't be successful with everybody.
Yeah, well, let's just say he also got the opportunity to be a principal then for my son, who is at Harmony Community School, even just for a brief time. Luckily, he didn't have to discipline my son like he had to discipline me several times at there. So, but thank you very much. I think.
And then,
No, continue.
Okay.
I'll come back. I have one answer.
And then, Chairman Booth, it is my pleasure tonight to introduce our new student representative for the school board from Tohopokalika High School. This is Jessica Santos Hanau. As some of you may have known, she participated in Mr. Booth's Top 10 Junior Breakfast as last year's Top 10 Junior, and then came back as a senior to share some of her experiences with the students there. And she is busy with her application to Cornell University. I know she's going to be a great representative, and we're pleased to have you with us.
Thank you. We can give her a big round of applause. And I just want to say, and I'm going to ask you to say a few things in just a moment, but I did finish. Jessica, by the way, has asked me to write a letter of recommendation to her for Cornell, excuse me. And I know what an exceptional young lady she is, so I took a lot of pride in writing this letter. So I asked Jessica to share with me, or to give me the names of some of her teachers. And I'm going to tell you, I have never, in my time as a school board member, or even just a person, heard the things that I heard back from teachers about this young lady. And I want to read, I'm actually going to read some of them to you here tonight. This is a quote. "I can honestly see she has made me a better educator, mentor, teacher, and person. Here's another one. She basically ran the after-school program at Narcoossee Middle School. Even years after she left, she did lesson planning, presentations, she did everything, even while taking a full load of AP and honors classes. She is truly a shining star. Quote, she takes initiative in ways I rarely see from students, ever. Quote, she has always shown herself to be extremely kind, mature, and hardworking. I admire the fact that Jessica has set such high goals for herself, and she knows what she needs to do to meet them, which I have no doubt that she will. I finished my letter of recommendation. I won't read you the whole thing because it is fairly lengthy, but this is my closing paragraph just from my time with her. And I first met her, by the way, when she was part of a leadership program back in middle school. But this is how I finished my letter to her. I've written many recommendations for students, colleagues, and friends. Never before have I written for an individual who has made such a deep and lasting positive impression on the people she interacts with. The situation Jessica was born into, our society would have accepted failure and given mediocrity every opportunity to be viewed as a success. That has not been her path. She exhibits the qualities of a future great leader, possesses remarkable intelligence, but most importantly, Jessica has the character that would guide her into a fulfilling and successful life if she possessed neither. Thankfully, she does, and I strongly recommend her acceptance into any college or university program which she applies. So, Jessica, thank you for being here tonight. I'm so glad to see you on the dais with us, and if you would like to at this time, you can make some comments.
First, thank you for that. You're making me tear up in front of everybody.
Yep.
I don't know. What else do you want me to say?
What do you think? What would you like to get out of this process of being our student representative?
Well, I was asked to by Mr. Todd, who's Toho Pekalaiga's assistant principal, to represent Toho Pekalaiga here in the next couple of board meetings. And at first, I was a little confused as to why, but I was like, sure, I'll do it. But like Mr. Booth said, I was in a program when I was in middle school where we actually came here, and then they had all the students, like they chose specific students to sit in these chairs, and we had to they gave us an issue, and we had to find a solution for the issue, and we could not because nobody could agree to anything. And it was sort of I don't know, it was sort of a reminder that I sort of like kept to myself. I'm like, decisions happen, and these decisions, they're hard choices to make. Like whether somebody likes them or not, it's like somebody has to make that choice. And they always try to do it for like what's gonna help the majority. And sometimes it's really hard to see that, and I try to keep that in mind, as I've grown up from there. And so when they gave me this opportunity, even though I was confused at first, when I started thinking about it, I started thinking, I'm like, well, how do they make the decisions now? Because I know the board is different. I know there's different people that have sat in these chairs, many decisions that I hear my friends complaining about, and then others that are saying, wow, this is like the best thing the school board has done for us. And so I guess I'm really curious to see how this is going to go.
I think that's a great way to approach it. So thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Yes, Mr. Wheeler.
Jessica, first off, that's a very impressive letter, and I think you were well-spoken just now also. I appreciate that. So I've got to ask you, what is it that you want to major in?
I want to major in biomedical sciences with a minor in biochemistry. Okay. I hope to become a pediatric oncologist.
And I've got to ask one.
I had to find out what all those words meant. And she told me that.
And I'll teach you how to spell them by the end of the night, too. The next question, have you ever been to Ithaca in January or February?
I have been. I spend almost every year in either Boston or New York. I have never been to Ithaca in January and February, but I was there over the summer, and it was
Summer's very
incredible.
nice.
Yes,
yeah.
Summer was
I've lived
incredible.
in Ithaca in January and February. That's why. I hope all your dreams come true.
Don't discourage the girl. We're getting her into Cornell. We're working on it.
I hope all your dreams come true. Cornell will be lucky to have you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yes, they will. So we appreciate it. So with that, board members, and thank you, Jessica, we would like to take this time now to pay tribute to someone who has served on this board for 16 years. And we're going to do that. I'm sorry, Jay, you
Wanna go through the whole
can
meeting
roll
first?
your eyes, but
You want to go to the meeting first?
no, we're not going through the whole meeting first. We're going to do it right now, right up front.
Okay.
Laura said she wouldn't stay very long.
Yeah, she said she was out of here.
Yeah, okay, right.
So I guess I'll start, Mr. Wheeler. I thought long and hard about writing up something to say, and then I decided that would not do justice to you. I should just speak off the cuff. First of all, I want to say I appreciate you wearing that shirt tonight. Again, I do appreciate that because that says a lot about you. And I want to say that this community should thank you for your years of service. You are, and you remind everybody, you're the longest serving elected official in this county. And you know what? It's for a reason. It's because when folks reach out to you, when parents have reached out to you, you answer the call. And that's what an elected, especially a locally elected official, is supposed to do. Folks that work within the schools may have not always been happy to see your name show up on their cell phone, but I can tell you that folks that you've worked for will always say, you know, he may be a you-know-what, but he's mine you-know-what. And actually, that's a direct quote from one of your friends, by the way.
I think I know who.
Yeah. And so I want to say back in 2002, right, when you got elected, I just got married, had no children yet, was trying to find my way. I didn't know, I could have never dreamed about serving on this school board, being an elected official in this community, and to be able to serve with you the last 4 years has been an honor. What most people, I think, don't know about you, I think the greatest misconception about you is your heart is in the right place. I think everybody up here recognizes that even though you can be Jay sometimes, that everything that you do is dedicated to making this school district a better school district. And I think that we can all say, without a doubt, over the past 16 years that you've done that. So that's my piece. Thank you for your service, Mr. Wheeler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yep. Go ahead, Mr. Thatcher.
Jay, I just want to thank you too for 16 years. That's a long time. I said, been here 4 years, I'm thinking 16 years, I don't know about that. But from one of the first times we sat down and talked when I got elected, I'll never forget, as long as you agree with me, it won't take you long to learn I'm always right. As long as you vote with me, you'll be doing the right things. All those little tidbits of advice I got from you have been very meaningful to me over the years. One thing, and Ricky just touched on it a little bit, that I have learned about you, and I have learned for myself and have tried to model. You say it, but you walk the talk too. You say it's about the kids, and I think you truly do. It is about the kids to you, and whatever's best for the kids. And I think you do stick to that. I think you'll fight to that to the core, and I do appreciate that about you. And I'll tell you, that's one of the things I've probably learned the most about you, because we kind of all come with different frames of reference, and we probably all have different things that we focus on. And I certainly, I say a lot of times I'm not an educator. And I'm not, but so that I have a little different perspective than that. But I think that's an extremely valuable perspective. It has been a pleasure to serve with you. It's been an interesting 2 years. We've agreed sometimes, we disagree sometimes, but we've had a lot of fun razzing you a little bit, which is very good because you take it very well, and we have fun, and it kind of makes the job better, I think, for everybody. So I appreciate you. I appreciate your 16 years service to this community, and I'm honored that I got to spend the last 4 of them with you serving on this board.
Thank you.
So what many of you may or may not know is there are these Jayisms, and one of them would be, I could be standing at anywhere really, but we'll say a Florida School Board's conference, and Jay would walk up and he would say to whoever he just budged into the conversation with, do you realize that Tim Weishire is the second smartest Osceola School Board member standing here talking to you right now? Because wherever Jay was, he was always the smartest school board member. And if you don't know Jay and you don't have that relationship, you may get offended by it. But when you understand that that's part of his personality, it's part of what we have grown to love and appreciate and respect about you, I've learned to laugh at those things and appreciate that that's part of who you are. It's part of what our relationship and our banter is. 16 years in the school board, Jay, as the gentlemen have shared, is a true testament not just to your willingness and your sacrifice, but to Laura's and to your families as well. You've raised your kids as you served on the school board. In fact, I think when you started on the school board, I was only in kindergarten myself. So that's not true. That's not true. But Laura and Jay both, thank you for the sacrifices, for the service. There's long nights, there's thankless meetings, there's so many sacrifices that people don't understand that go into doing this job. And to do it for as long as you have says a lot about your stick-to-itiveness, your character, and your dedication to this community. When I was running for the school board, Jay was very kind and very supportive of me. He would remind me that he didn't care if I won. He just wanted somebody else in the seat. And I'm like, I think I'm going to take that as a compliment. I'm not really sure.
ABC?
I knew I wasn't going to mention that, but yes. But what was true was, too, is I didn't even ask him. I was at an event, and Jay and I had gotten to know each other a little bit. And Jay walked up and he said, "Give me one of your signs." And I'm like, oh, no, what is he going to do? And so he grabbed a sign, and he's walking around the event saying, "You need to support Tim Weishire for school board. You need to support Tim Weishire." Then on election night, Kelvin will remember this because we were both elected the same night, Jay was literally standing out on the side of the road holding up my campaign signs. Again, I didn't ask him to. And he said to me, "Tim, you're the only school board member I've ever stood in the rain for to try to make sure that he got elected." So I tell that story because when I was running for office, I remember being interviewed by the Orlando Sentinel, them saying to me, "Mr. Wheeler's been a controversial figure at times. How are you going to get along with him?" And I said, "You know what, I can get along with anybody." And one thing that I know is true is that really, in truth, probably 80, 90% of the time, Jay and I will probably agree on everything. We may have different opinions on how to get there, but one thing I know is that his heart's in the right place, and he really does want to do the right thing for our schools and for our students. And from the time I've made that comment, and maybe even before, all the way up until now, you've continued to prove that to be true. And I kid you not when I say that not only has the work that we shared and the time that we've shared in doing this work together for 8 years been rewarding, but I have to tell you the friendship that we've developed over those 8 years is also rewarding. And it's truly my honor to not only refer to you as a peer and a colleague, but also a friend. And so I know you're not going anywhere apart from leaving the school board. You'll be around, and you have a lot of great things ahead of you. You're working hard right now. I'm proud of where you are, but I want you to know I'm grateful. I've learned a lot from you over these 8 years. I really have. And it's been rewarding to spend this time with you. So God bless you. Thank you. I appreciate you. And I, as a student and as a parent of this community, am grateful that you stepped up and served when service was needed. So thank you.
Mr. Weishire, Mr. Soto. The microphone, don't forget the microphone.
Well, Mr. Wheeler, there's not a lot.
You can
There
see
was
what's
not
on
a lot.
Kelvin's computer right now.
I see that.
I can. I'm sorry.
That's not appropriate.
Not a lot left to be said, Mr. Wheeler. I definitely understand and share the sentiment of my fellow board members. So I guess I'm just going to have to say something that's very personal, in particular to my experience. Well, Jay, I'll be honest with you, being your friend was not an easy thing. But those are the type of friendships that I value the most, the ones that require hard work, understanding, patience, and, believe it or not, a leap of faith. And I'm not big on the whole faith thing. So that's what it took for us to really connect. And I'm really happy that I met you and that we spent this time together personally and professionally. I have to say, I learned a lot of things from you. And along the way, I learned a lot of things about myself. I commend you for your service to this county. I truly believe you did the best that you could and that you never held anything back. And from an elected official, from a leader, you can't ask for anything more. So on behalf of the school district and for me as your friend, thank you.
Dr. Pace, would you like to say anything?
Mr. Wheeler, you were on the board when I first became a principal in this district. And over the course of the last 16 years, I have learned a tremendous amount from working alongside you and working for you for the last 2.5 years. We've not always agreed, but as the board members have shared, I've always known that in your heart, you are about what was right for kids. And as long as we were doing what was right for kids, you were going to be our biggest champions and our biggest cheerleaders. And if we weren't, you were going to be sure to let us know. And we count on that, and we value that. And I truly value the trust that you've demonstrated since I became superintendent in the work that my team and I have been doing for kids and about kids, because I know that's not easily given. We had to earn it. But that is a very meaningful thing to me. And I know also how much you do value your wife, Laura, and Jane, and Ben, and what a sacrifice it's been for your family. But now it's time for you to be able to invest in yourself and invest in them and invest in your new venture. And we wish you all the best. But thank you for your service, and I look forward to being your friend.
Thank you.
Yes, please, but I do want to make sure that board is, when Mr. Wheeler is done, I'd like to invite all of us down, the entire board, and Dr. Pace and Laura to come up. We do have a special plaque presentation we'd like to give you, but
Well,
please.
first off, I consider you all friends, on top of everything else. And Tim, hasn't been 8 years, it's been 6. But that's okay.
Oh, that's true.
That's
I'm not
okay.
done yet.
It's okay. It's okay. He's a realtor. He's not real good at math. I do appreciate. I've learned something from all of you. You've all been good friends. You've all been good colleagues. You all do what's right for the community and for the kids. And Dr. Pace, you've put together an incredible team. I know you're all working as hard as you can. So I've had this conversation with Dr. Pace. I'm going to have this conversation with the whole leadership team. Is you want to develop and you want to improve, get out of your comfort zone. Don't just, for instance, and I'm going to use a very specific example. Dr. Pace and Dr. Frintz went some training at Harvard for educators. You two could have taught that course. You two would be better off going and getting professional training among robotics engineers, physicians, admirals, generals. Learn how somebody else thinks in another industry. And that's not a knock on anything you're doing, but you need to learn different ways to look at things. And you've got an incredible leadership team. Dr. Pace, you put together an amazing team. I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize the love of my life, my wife, Laura, married 29 years next year. I couldn't do anything without her. And this school district, my kids have gone through here. My daughter was in kindergarten, I think, when I first got elected. My son just graduated. This school district has been, and Dr. Reinhardt was one of my kids' principals along the way, and assistant principals too, now that I think about it. But this district has been nothing but good for my kids. And, you know, like I said, you walk into a classroom, you don't see Republican and Democratic kids. I mean, my special interest group was 2 kids at home. And I encourage anybody who sits up here, get in schools on a regular basis, not just when it's school board come to school, recognize Kids Day. It could be teaching junior achievement, being a Take Stock in Children mentor, whatever. You'll figure out what it is. I was stupid enough to be a high school booster club president for 2 years. That was good and bad. But I appreciate, again, what I've had here in this community is incredible. It'll always be home. And I think that we are in a really good place with a great leadership team and a great superintendent, and I see my successor, Ms. Castillo, here. I wish you the best, and don't be afraid to say I don't know, and you're going to have people present to you all the time with all kinds of crazy acronyms. If you don't know what it is, ask somebody what it means. I did that today at a workshop. Somebody had something, I asked, what is that, and they told me. So keep up the good work. I know we're in good hands, and I'll have my Tuesday nights to myself. Laura, I got Tuesday nights available pretty soon. So thank you all so much. I appreciate you all.
Hey, Jay, just so you know, 6 years with you feels like 8 years. I should have clarified what I meant.
And I would tell you what 6
Now,
years
that's
with
funny,
you feels like.
Oh, we have a video? Okay, so before we go down, we have a video. I didn't even know about this.
No, man.
Hey Jay, it's your buddy Darren Soto. I wanted to just congratulate you on an
public service for Osceola County Public Schools. You know, let's call it what it is. You tell it like it is, Jay, and you do it on behalf of our kids, and it's been so important for years. It may ruffle some feathers every now and again, but, you know, people deserve to hear a lot more about the truth and straight talk, and I appreciate you for doing it. Whether it was working on road safety for kids walking to school, whether it was working on additional funding to build new high schools in the rapidly growing region, whether it was getting down hurricane disaster relief funding for our schools, and we'll continue to fight for that, or whether it was the great work that you did to make sure that Puerto Rican evacuees coming to Osceola County, these kids had a place for some normalcy and to get back to being educated, to the great grades that have risen up in Osceola County, and the increasing number of kids going on to college and other trade schools. So thanks for your dedication over the years, thanks for your friendship, thanks for your wisdom, and thanks most of all for being you, Jay. This is your buddy, Darren Soto, signing off. Congratulations once again on an amazing career in public service on behalf of our kids.
Oh, that was unexpected.
Not very many people get a U.S. congressman to give them a video tribute.
No many people have as much on their congressman as me.
So board, if you could all join us down, and please, Laura, join us. We do have a special presentation for you.
Are you coming down here, or am I going up
No,
there?
we're coming
Oh,
We're down there. Unless you want it.
no, I don't want to.
Okay. Yes, please. So, actually, would you like to present? So we want to show everybody, we have a student that has prepared some special artwork for Mr. Wheeler, and if you'd like to explain maybe what it is and present it to Mr. Wheeler, that'd be great.
First, what's your name?
Okay, so my name is Sarah Valencia.
What school do you go to?
Celebration High School. I'm in 10th grade.
Okay.
Okay, so basically.
Is Miss Bell your art teacher?
Yes.
Okay.
So I would like to present this art piece, Miss Wheeler, on behalf of all the students in the school district. It's a simple yet meaningful piece. The books, of course, represent education and knowledge. The lamp is a symbol of light, I think shows all the contributions that you have made as a member of the school board. And I was actually informed that you lived in Celebration, so I drew a photograph of a place in Celebration. And
Don't look at Celebration, but it represents Celebration.
Yes.
School there. That's very nice.
That's beautiful. Wow,
Thank you.
good job.
That was great. Great job. Thank you. I won't drop it.
So we do have a plaque for you, Mr. Wheeler. It says for Jay Wheeler for his leadership and service to the Osceola County School District as a school board member from 2002 to 2018. His unwavering dedication to the students of the district has positively impacted and strengthened education in Osceola County now and well into the future. Ladies and gentlemen, let's honor Mr. Jay Wheeler.
Thank you all so much. Like I said, aside from maybe raising my own kids and being married, there's nothing I'll probably ever do as important as this and as meaningful as this, and it pays as poorly as this. But it's been my honor and privilege to do this, and I'd be remiss if I said I wouldn't miss some of this, but it is time to move on, and it's time for some fresh blood too. You're tired of hearing from me. I told Dr. Pace, one of the problems is I know too much. I need someone who doesn't know as much as me. So I thought he was going to be a loss for words.
Jay's going to be Jay.
So thank you all. And again, well, as leaders, you make jokes, but as leaders, don't worry about political correctness. Do what you think is right. Just do what you think is right and let the chips fall where they may. And as long as you're telling the truth and do what you think is right, don't worry about it. As long as you're okay at home, the rest doesn't matter. So thank you all so much. Now let's get on with the business of the school.
Well, let's take a picture first.
Okay.
I want to
So
come
we
to the
want to
middle.
come up
Awesome.
to the middle. Yeah, why don't you come over here?
What if we got a picture with the student?
Yeah, absolutely. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on.
Maybe.
Just you three?
Yeah. Oh, sure.
Yeah, you have to be in it too, Jay.
That's awesome.
All right, very nice.
Thank you all. Did you come from the celebration of the school association?
Yes.
So Mrs. Bone was your teacher also?
Miss
were-
Model.
Okay. Good job. Thank you so much.
Thank you, young lady.
Thank
So-
you, board. Thank you, staff. And thank you for.
Thank you, Jay. Board, so we do have some business to attend to. In fact, let me get my bearings here. So, it's a blue sheeted item, but it is a presentation.
Correct.
So we will go ahead and do that now. It is the School Bus Safety Proclamation.
And we have Mr. Creech, our Director of Transportation, here with us tonight.
Welcome, Mr. Creech.
Thank you, and
How-
good evening.
How things going?
Just rolling right along.
Okay.
What can I say?
Well, I set you up for that one. And I did
Hey,
not, but that
I'm going to kick it right through. There you go. So good evening, Dr. Pace, Mr. Booth, board members and staff. Just really proud to be here tonight. You know, Mr. Wheeler, I'm really sorry. I'm the new transportation director. It sounds like I've missed a lot, and there are going to be some experiences in my future I might not have. So, yeah.
That's called count your blessings.
Well, thank you very much, and I do wish you well in your retirement. Thank you so much.
And welcome, and you need to do a good job. I don't wish
Hey.
you, you have to do a good job.
We're going to do it. It's all about kids. That's right. That's for sure. So this evening, I stand before you very proud to talk about something that's very important in the transportation world, and that happens next week, and that is the National School Bus Safety Week that is celebrated across this nation. And traditionally, school districts will also do a proclamation to ensure that we honor that time and that we take the appropriate time to ensure that everyone understands how important school bus safety is. To remember, when those stop arms are out, you stop. You don't pass that bus. Remember that student behavior on that bus is incredibly important because that's a dangerous thing otherwise. But we're here tonight to read this proclamation, and if you will, I'll read the plaque. I'll go forward. So, got to put on my spectacles. So whereas on each school day in Osceola County, more than 320 school buses provide more than 23,000 students with transportation between home and school, safely traveling more than 6 million miles. And whereas school bus drivers must complete initial and annual training requirements and provide the highest standard of care for the students that they transport. And whereas the school bus inspection program ensures the safety of school buses and their precious cargo. And whereas school bus drivers, mechanics, supervisors, and support staff perform vital functions in ensuring the safe operation of the student transportation system, and whereas ensuring motorists adhere to the rules of the road around school buses during the loading and unloading of students is critical to maintaining safe conditions, and whereas October 22nd through the 26th is designated as National School Bus Safety Week, now therefore the Osceola County School Board proudly proclaims October 22nd through the 26th, 2018, as Osceola County School Bus Safety Week on the 16th day of October, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion by Mr. Thacker, second by Mr. Wheeler on the way out. And we will, board, any comments? Discussion?
Yeah, I have a quick comment. Thank
Sorry,
you.
I asked.
I know you are. Thank you for your work. Welcome. I'm looking forward to continue working with you. But this is incredibly important because, as you shared, transporting so many students in a safe and orderly and accountable fashion is a difficult task, and but yet it's such an important task that takes place every single day. And so I don't want to miss the opportunity to thank you and welcome you and say how much I'm looking forward to working with you. This is such an important part of what we do in the school district, and none of us take that for granted. So thank you.
And thank you, sir.
Number one call for me. Number one call.
Me too.
The bus.
Hey.
What's going on with the bus? So thank you, sir. We do have a motion and a second. I'll call for a vote. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries 5-0.
Thank you for your consideration. Good evening,
Yes, sir.
everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to appointment and transfers. Dr. Pace?
Yes, Chairman Booth and members of the board, As you know, Ms. Hollenbeck is going to be doing some other things soon, and we really appreciate her service. But I am honored tonight to bring forward Judith Gordon, if she wants to come to the podium. Board members, Judith has been a patient services manager and a clinical dietitian for Marriott Healthcare in Washington, D.C., area manager with Food Nutrition Services for Anne Arundel County Public Schools in Maryland, department head with Food and Nutrition Services for Frederick County Public Schools in Maryland, and a coordinator of School Nutrition Services for the Osceola School District since 2014. She received her bachelor's degree in applied science, food, and nutrition from Youngstown State University and a master's degree in business administration from the University of Findlay. She has completed a 1,200-hour dietetic internship at Johns Hopkins Hospital and is a licensed dietitian nutritionist and a registered dietitian nutritionist. And I'm very pleased to recommend Ms. Gordon to be our new Director of School Nutrition Services.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Soto, a second by Mr. Weissier. Board, any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Floor is yours.
Oh, I'm very excited for the opportunity to continue serving our students, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Anytime you get a chance to add beef to the menu, I'll fully support that. And I do have one question since I heard Maryland. Did you ever get to serve crab cakes at the school districts?
Actually, we have in Anne Arundel County many, many years ago,
Nice.
the little mini bites.
Well, thank you so much, and congratulations, and look forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I just want to say, Ray, I was going to mention this earlier under board member comments, but I didn't want the meeting to go. I was going to do it in this moment. I didn't want tonight to end without me saying thank you to you. I remember when I first got elected to the school board, sitting in your office with you and asking a number of questions. And throughout my time on this board, you've continued to be a resource to me. But even though our interactions may be few and far between, the work you do is tireless every single day. And just as I shared about the importance of transportation, I know the importance of food service and food safety and quality service when it comes to serving our students is of paramount importance as well. And I didn't want to miss the opportunity to say thank you to you for your time and your service. And I still remember discussing Ronald Reagan with you in your office, and exactly, your hero, and how much I enjoyed that conversation. So God bless you, and thank you for everything you've done.
Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Hollenbeck. Congratulations. Okay. Board, we've come to the time where we are open for public comment. I do not have any of the yellow sheets in front of me. That does not mean that you cannot comment, but this is the only time during the meeting that we have for public comment. So if you would like to, I will take just a moment to say if you'd like to get one of the yellow sheets from back, bring it up to the board secretary here, Ms. Tanya Culver. You can do that. Okay, seeing none, we will move forward. Board to agenda modifications. Mr. Wheeler.
None.
Mr. Soto.
None.
I do not have any. Mr. Thacker. Mr. Weissier.
Yeah, you're going to be excited. I have two.
Okay.
One, I want to discuss the community parades, and number two, I want to discuss just briefly the Jingle Bell Ball.
Okay, so we're adding.
Yeah, it's all Halloween.
So we're gonna add this to, or these things that may potentially need a vote, Mr. Weissier?
Just board member comment.
Board member comments. So we have, with my pen, that's not working. I got a pencil now. I know this will work. Jingle Bell. I got an invite to that the other night. And parades.
Hopefully you said yes.
Is it for the realtors?
Nope.
No. Okay, board.
I know you would have said yes.
Board, we just have the added comments by Mr. Weissier, so I'll ask for what is your pleasure on the agenda tonight?
Make a motion to approve the added comments.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Soto, a second by Mr. Wheeler. Board, is there any further discussion? Oh, Dr. Pace, did you have any? I'm sorry. Any further discussion? Nope, seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope, motion carries 5-0. Board, that brings us to our information items, which are in your packet for review. We have our possible proposed revisions, as we asked Dr. Pace to bring them forward a little sooner so that we could have a chance to look at them before the staff put in a ton of work. And so they are in there. Thank you for that, for you to look at, and the community as well. Board, our monthly business advisory meeting minutes are in there as well from September 26th. so you can look at those. So that brings us to regular facilities items. Board, we do need to split these votes into 15.01 and 15.02. So, Board, what is your pleasure on 15.01?
For the record, Mr. Chairman, I need to recuse myself from 15.01.
Correct.
I'll make a motion to approve 15.01 as presented.
Second.
Okay, so I have a motion by Mr. Weissauer, a second by Mr. Soto to approve item 15.01. Board, any discussion? No, seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Ms. Tanya, please let the record reflect that the motion carries 4-0 with Mr. Wheeler's abstention.
Let Mr. Wheeler make the last motion.
This is it, Jay?
Sure. I'll make a motion to approve item 15.02 as submitted.
I got a motion by Mr. Wheeler.
Yes, you do, Mr. Booth.
You know what? That's the last time I'm going to get to say that, or anybody's going to get to say that.
Okay.
I'm taking some pride in that.
At this meeting.
At this meeting. Okay. Fair enough.
Motion, that's right, for the school board. So we have a motion by Mr. Wheeler and a second by Mr. Thacker. Board, is there any discussion on item 15.02? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, motion carries 5-0. Mr. Perry, do you have any comments tonight? Attorney reports or comments for the board?
No, sir, I do not.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
That's my favorite comment.
Dr. Pace.
Nothing, sir.
All right. We have no unfinished business. We have no new business. So that brings us to parades and jingle bells. So, Mr. Weisher.
You know, I didn't plan for it all to be holiday related on the same night, but I guess it is. I'll start with the community parades. As you guys know, for years, the school district has participated in the community parades that have taken place, and our maintenance division and Joella have worked so hard to make sure we've had these exceptional floats. Over the last year or two, we've transitioned away from that, partly because it was just so much work required in putting all that together. However, I'm of the opinion that our participation in these parades is important. I see that, truth be told, as an important extension of what we do to be engaged with the community and fully aligns with what our strategic initiatives are of making sure that we have community involvement and community engagement. It just so happens that this year when the parades fall, I happen to be out of the country, and so I'm not able to participate, nor am I asking anybody here to participate. But what I'm really looking for is just a general idea of what the board's desire is in the context of these parades. I think we should have a significant presence in them, to be really honest with you. And when you look across our community, the city commission, the city council, the county commission, KUA, TOHO, the fire departments, all these other agencies throughout our community always make sure that they do. When Dr. Pace and I were talking briefly about this, I believe earlier this week or latter part of last week, she had made a good point. You know, we have schools that participate, so our bands are involved and all that, and I agree, and I think that's great. However, I also know that people a lot of times view the school as its own entity and the district as its own entity, although we know the mechanics of how it's really built. So I guess I'm just looking for an opinion from everybody except Mr. Wheeler. Since you won't be here. No, but I'm looking for an opinion from the board on going forward with these. This year isn't a concern for me necessarily. It may not work schedule-wise, but I'd like to see this school district taking an intentional approach to making sure that we have a presence in that. And I don't know if I'm alone on this or if you guys share that viewpoint. By the way, it's not about us being in it. That's not my point at all. If no board member ever goes, that's okay. Each board member gets to pick and choose what they do or don't want to do with those things, but I do think the district should be involved with it. Thoughts, comments, any feedback?
Mr. Soto? Yep.
Yeah. I guess what I understood from you is that currently, as it is, all of our schools are invited to these parades and they participate, band, cheerleaders, things like that, right?
And we encourage that.
Right, if they want to, of course. But what you're talking about is for, when you say the district, you mean like the people that work in this building, like the administrators?
Well, yeah, so good question. I'm not implying that the superintendent, the assistant superintendents, or anybody in particular needs to participate. What I'm saying is, for instance, I think we should have school buses in the parades, just as an example. We should maybe have some of our white fleet in the parades. I'm not sitting here to determine exactly what it should be or what it should look like. I just think that is an important component of what takes place in our community. And with what we espouse to be so important of letting people know the importance that we place in education and the connection that we have to the community, we should, as a board, be setting the tone and the pace for the idea that this is important, the community comes out for this, they turn out looking for it. I just think we should be there.
So
STEM bus is a great example.
I'll say this, since nobody else has got their light on. I have participated in. Oh no, sorry. Then go ahead, Mr. Soto. Sorry.
No, I'll go after you.
No. Go ahead.
Sure.
Yeah, please.
No, just okay. No, now that you explained that, let me ask, what is the, Dr. Pace, what is the purpose of the school's participation? What does it provide for the schools to participate in these parades? I know the answer. I just want to put it on the record.
The students are able to share their talents with our community and have an opportunity to perform and be recognized for the things that they're learning in our schools. For example, some of them have had STEM floats with a Christmas theme, obviously for the holiday parades. It gives the bands and chorus and cheerleaders and all this kind of. It's just an opportunity to share their talents with our community and be recognized and represent their schools and I believe the district as well. But it's really showcasing the talent of our students.
Exactly, and so I've always seen these as opportunities as described by the superintendent. What you're suggesting is a concept that's pretty different from what I've seen and experienced in terms of civic involvement in parades. I'm persuaded by your logic. In other words, that why don't we extend that with district staff as well? The only issue is that students are students and staffs are employees, and so we kind of almost are asking for a volunteerism that I need to mull it a little bit more before I could give it support. I actually do see what you're saying. I like that part, and I will encourage and do whatever I could with our students and our bands and our teams, displaying their talents to the community. I'm not quite sure if I'm ready for employees on that level. That's all.
So let me just say this, Mr. Soto, that it's my understanding, because I've participated in the school district floats. I've ridden in the back of the truck. I've ridden with Mr. Weisshire in the back of the vehicles. I've actually, in the St. Cloud Parade, either last year or the year before, there were school buses there. I know they had the advertising, I think, I know there was, because there's several of them there. They were advertising for hiring bus drivers. So we did have school buses in the parade. I know in the St. Cloud Parade, maybe not last year, but the year before. I guess I enjoy the participation. I'm not going to be able to be there this year either, and I generally do like to participate in both the St. Cloud and the Kissimmee Parade. I guess, Mr. Weisser, I don't know where we're getting, because I thought we already did participate on a district level. Were we changing our participation? Dr. Pace?
As it stands right now, I don't have a board member who is able to be there at this particular point in time. And so I wasn't going to expect the staff in our maintenance department and Ms. Lowe in the art class to create a float if board members didn't want to have a visible presence in it.
Okay.
However, if you direct me to be at the parade and wave, I'll be happy to do that. Okay? It's but that's kind of where we are right now.
Let me add to that, because I think it requires some clarification. We're at the middle of October, and had I not mentioned the parades, they probably wouldn't have been mentioned at all this year. And that, I think, is really my point. I'm not concerned about this year. I'm concerned about the board looking forward and saying, do we view these as one important component of community involvement? Mr. Soto, to your point, I'm not looking to require that any employee participate in it, including the superintendent for that matter. What I'm just saying is that I think that the board should set a tone that these are important extensions for us to be engaged in the community. And, as long as I'm on the board, if I'm able to be there, let's be honest, sitting in the back of a truck and waving people is not necessarily the best thing to do with your Saturday morning or your Saturday night for that matter. But I've always viewed it as an important opportunity for me to be engaged with our constituents. So what I'm really talking about is not so much this year as much as it is setting the tone. Because if we get ahead of these things, then we're not middle of October having a conversation, do we or don't we want to participate in a parade that's only 5 weeks away.
Okay. I actually do. I would agree with you, Mr. Weisser, on this point. I do think that any time that a member of this board wants to participate in a parade, that there should be the effort made to get that done, because I actually do agree that our community outreach, our community participation, what we have set forward in our strategic plan, I think that goes hand in hand with that. I'm struggling with, do we need to still have a float if nobody can be there?
No, this year's not relevant to me.
Yeah.
Those conversations truly about next year. It's about what do
Okay.
we do to get ahead of this and make sure that in the out years, we're not caught by surprise.
Because I was fully, when I received the email from Ms. Tanya asking would I be able to participate, was it last week or the week before, I didn't know the timing was off, and so.
We fully intended to prepare a float if we had board members who wanted to engage in being a part of it.
Certainly, I would like to. I just happen, like you, I happen to be out of town on those weekends this time. So, Mr. Soto?
And what we're discussing here has to do with the float, by the way. I hope that I was clear, but let me go ahead and be even more clear if that's possible. Or ultra clear, how about that? That if you want to, like you said, ride in the back of the pickup truck, and Ricky Booth wants to drive it. But I right now,
I do actually.
I join you guys. That's
wanna
not
drive you.
the whole thing about is putting work on district staff, and making a float for I don't know what. I mean, no, for what you stated. I wouldn't go there. But if there is a special occasion or something, we could probably do it on a year-by-year basis with plenty of time. If we know that we're going to be here, you're going to have enough folks, and you have enough volunteers that want to go along with it. I wouldn't really mandate this because, like I said, this is more a high school and a student-driven thing where they can, it's for them. It's mostly, it's the way I look at it. And there's always opportunities for board members and staff to enjoy that and participate with schools as well. So that's
I'll say I can't.
It's the whole float thing that I'm really, really directed at here.
I understand, and I'll say I cannot participate this year, but I fully anticipate on participating next year. And so it just happens to be that this year I can't do it. I just have some prior commitments. So,
I'm happy to commit that as soon as we know parade dates next year, we will get them to you guys, and you guys can let us know what to do.
Oh, Mr. Wheeler.
Yeah, well, one thing that you may, first off, obviously I'm not going to be in any parades. And in the past, I've participated, in a lot of July 4th, Veterans Day parades, but typically marching, with a Little League team or with the Boys and Girls Club or something like that. But one of the things to think about, and I recognize these, we're talking about the school district's participation with schools, et cetera, but we're very fortunate that we've got those kind of assets and incredible kids and marching bands and all that. But think about leveraging it with a different way. Somebody like a Congressman Soto or a Representative Cortez or Senator Torres or Representative LaRosa, inviting them to participate with us might be a good way to expose our great students in the community via the school district with these legislators and also help our relationship with them. That's something to think about. I recognize it's our district, but there's value in maybe including them in some of this as you move forward, which is all your decision, guys. That's just some perspective.
Thank you, Mr.
Yeah,
Wheeler.
not to belabor the point, I'll use this just, to me, guys, just so you know, this aligns with the overall idea. Like we said, when we're opening a new school, we want to do a groundbreaking, we want to do a ribbon cutting, we want to do. The whole idea and the whole spirit behind this is the board has been very intentional about making sure that people understand the important role and the prominence that we place on the work that happens every single day across the school district. And to me, the parade isn't the thing. It's just one more element that fits in with the overall plan that we've put in place about how we're going to make sure that the community sees and understands the relevancy of what takes place across the school district on a day-to-day basis.
Thank you, Mr. Weisher.
The Jingle Bell, quickly, I just want to let you guys know, if you're not familiar with it, I'm not directly involved with the organization or coordination of this, but I am attending the event. This event is being done, many of you guys may know of the Margarita Ball in Orange County. It's taking place year after year, and it's really been done to raise toys for students in Orange County and Osceola. Well, this one's been created for Osceola County to kind of be a spin-off of that, if you will, to be focused on collecting presents for Osceola kids that ultimately can be distributed to kids in need across our community. I've committed to participate in it with my wife, as well as some of my friends and peers will be as well. I'd have to look at my schedule because these are sealed. I don't remember. I'm going to give these invites to you guys, but the purpose of me bringing it up is to ask you guys also if you'd be willing to attend and participate in it. This is the first annual one taking place in Osceola County, and it is, Clarence is going to beat me to it, November 10th. November 10th, in Osceola at the Embassy Suites. And so I just want to ask you guys for your participation. This is solely being done to raise presents for kids. The idea is to show up. There's no cost. You bring a $35 value gift or more, new unwrapped gift, you and a guest both, so $70 if you will to attend. I think it sets a good tone and good message that the school board of this community is there to support the first ever inaugural event of this like to support our students. So that's why I was bringing it up to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weishart. Yeah, I actually received an invite for that last week from a friend of mine, so I probably will be in attendance. I just, that's the day before my birthday.
And I will be in California, otherwise I will go.
I don't celebrate my birthday anymore.
Mr. Booth, on November 10th, we're holding a big birthday party for you at the Embassy Suite.
Okay. If I'll bring a present for myself.
Wear your best Jingle Bell attire.
You're the biggest kid I know.
My birthday's on the 11th. My birthday's on the 11th, but who's counting anyway? Okay, board, with that, we don't have anything else except for I will ask for parting comments. I'm actually going to start from this way and end with, I know, that's why. Dr. Pace? No. Miss Jessica, do you have anything you'd like to say before we finish up tonight?
About anything?
Be careful. You're forever recorded. See that TV up there? Yes. Anything you would like.
Anything? I don't know. Let me look at this to see what was said. Actually, something about what you said about the board being more involved with like activities like that. I think that's a good idea because I know that there's a lot of students who don't even know that this happens. Like I know a lot of students from Harmony and St. Cloud who, Mr. Booth, they don't even know who you are, and like you're supposed, and you're supposed to represent.
You have destroyed him. He thinks everybody knows who he is.
Jessica, where's my letter of recommendation?
I'm friends with the court.
I know who you are. I know who you are.
No, you're fine. No, I actually understand. I appreciate that because it is a good point, and I think Mr. Weishart made a good point as well, so thank you for that. And one thing I'll say, if you would like to do next time, these agendas go out, and I don't know, are you 2 meetings, 3 meetings? How's this work? You're going to be at 3 meetings, so our next meeting's on November 6th. We'll have a couple weeks in advance. These agendas 1 week. Yeah, 1 week in advance, these agendas go out for the public. So if you'd like to take a look at it, and so you'd be a little more up to speed with what's going on. Mr. Weishart, do you have anything else?
No, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Thacker, do you have anything else?
No, sir.
I do not. Mr. Soto.
I said enough.
Mr. Wheeler, this is it. Last chance.
Well, last chance here. Thank you all so much. Laura, thank you for all your support. Couldn't do it without you. Ms. Castillo, best wishes to you and the board and the school district. I know you're on the right path, and God bless you all.
Jay, one more time. You do it tonight.
Meeting's adjourned.
All right.